Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the first inaugural episode of Blerds, the motherfucking word podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mike D.
Who the fuck I am? Yeah, it's the sugar knock, bitch.
Out here with my co-host, Jeff.
Oh, don't hit back.
What's good, people?
All right, our other co-host, Lindsay Ali.
I'm Batman.
Hello, everyone. I have spoken.
I have spoken. All right, we also here in the building with friends of the show, kicking it off, Sally Sale.
Gene.
Hello, people. Cyclops is the top 3 X-Men of all time.
Top 3?
Out the gate? We going out the gate with it?
All right, you know what? We'll debate that later.
For another time.
We're going to debate that
making my
later.
statement.
Other friend of the show, last but not least, Landers Dukes.
Man, you come right out of a comic.
I love that.
Greetings all.
Hey, thank you all for listening to the show. We're very excited to kick things off. Let's describe the show a little bit for those who aren't aware. Blerds the Word is a celebration of all comic nerdom culture from a black perspective, unapologetic black perspective. We appreciate you all being here with us today. Let's just say really quickly that we are going to discuss a lot of movies and TV shows today, but we're going to be very careful with the spoilers. When we actually talk about movies or TV shows with spoilers, we'll make sure not only to announce it on the show, but we'll also put in a description the timestamp. So if you're listening to this, you don't have to stop listening to the entire show before you've seen Power. You can actually just fast forward, get to the part where we stop talking about it. All right, but let's get into it. We are excited about you all getting to know us as Blerds and what that means. So we're going to kick it off just by talking about that word because it means a lot to everyone. There are a whole lot of Blerds out there. So I wanted to just go around quickly and ask the brothers in the room, what type of Blerd do you consider yourself? And I'm going to kick it off with Lindsay.
Well, okay. I suppose I've been several different types of Blerds over my life. At one point, I was considered to be a hoarder Blerd. I'm doing this actual show, recording between 2 copies of Maud on DVD, as well as watching a rerun of the show Cleghorn with Cleghorn. These days, I'd consider myself to be a hustler Blerd. I still dick to a prostitute, salt to a slug, in the word Cameron. So I'm out here trying to make these moves. That's what kind of Blerd I am. I try to make moves, play video games, and hustle.
Lord have mercy. Okay. All right, Lindsay. We appreciate it, Jeeves. All right, let's get over to Jeff. Jeff, what kind of Blerd are you, man?
I would I guess I would say like an all around because it's not like one thing I just like. Anime, comic books, TV series, movies, video games. So I guess I have a large net of things that I could pull from.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sally, how about you, man?
Pretty much the same. I like a little bit of everything, dabble. I would say like the thing I'm most passionate about with just anime, fantasy, all that stuff is just like being able to share it with other people.
Right.
So that's like my thing, just pushing the envelope with people that may not be into it. So like sharing my geekdom with other folks. That's my thing.
That's what's up.
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic. That's how you got to roll, man. Landers, how about you? What kind of Blerd would you consider yourself?
I'm a nostalgic Blerd.
Nostalgic Blerd.
All old stuff, mainly 80s, be it horror, video games, music, TV shows, whatever.
Nice. The golden era.
Yeah, the 80s.
All right, that's what's up. Yo, and this is Mike. I got to say, like, I feel like I'm a political Blerd. Not in the traditional politics sense, but just I like to debate. Like, I think that was one of the motivations for starting the show. Like, it's not enough for me to go and see a comic book movie. I want to debate it with people. Like, I want to hear what your review is. I want to debate what the good and bad of the movie. Like, anything that I consume as a geek, I want somebody to run it through and have a debate about. So that's the kind of Blerd I think I am, which is a perfect segue into the show. Let me ask you all a second question as a follow-up. When did you realize that you were a Blerd? Because not everybody's made for this life. So was there like a pivotal moment that you realized like you were a Blerd and you just decided to embrace it?
Yes, I was in 7th grade. I started to have things for a boy named Raymond Tandy. Yes, it was a dangerous time then. No. When I first realized it, probably when I started video game. No, not video games. It would be when I started to like weird shit related to that I liked, and people thought that was strange. Like, I don't know how many of you all remember the sound from Rugrats, but when I started looking for soundtracks from the Rugrats so that I could hear the shit that the dude from Talking Heads, like that kind of music that he wrote for Rugrats, that's when I was like, okay, I might be a bit of an alien and also a black nerd, because I don't know many other people out there looking for music production from the Rugrats.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That's deep.
Right. Rugrats soundtrack, that'll do it. How about the rest of y'all?
I mean, I don't know if I can like recall a moment where I was like, oh shit, I might be a nerd. Cause like I thought like what I was into, everybody was into. You know what I mean? So like, you know, waking up Saturday mornings watching X-Men, you know, Power Rangers, you know, watching wrestling when that came on. Like I thought like what I enjoyed, everybody enjoyed it. It wasn't until older, when you like get into like different circles and you like talk about things that you enjoy, when people like, nah, I don't really watch that.
Right.
So like, well, shit, what's wrong with y'all then? Like, why you don't watch it? Or like, why you not into what I'm into, you know, because I thought like it was the norm. So I never like, I can't really pinpoint when I realized like, yo, this might be some lame shit that I'm into. And I've always like thought I was a cool guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so,
facts.
but I never like let what other people, what they didn't like or didn't watch, let that deter what, you know, what I enjoyed.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I can't really recall a moment, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, probably for me, I remember the first comic books I bought was on 79th Red Line. They used to have a convenience store in the back of it. I was in first grade. I had like $5. Comic books was $1.25 back then per comic. And I bought double of a Wolverine and I bought double of an X-Men comic, right? So two of the same.
Yep.
And it ties back into like me wanting to give it. So my nice gesture for a young lady and one of people that I call my best friends, I gave them the doubles. Like, yo, check this out, X-Men, you know, this and that. And they looking at me like, homie, what's this? Like, we 6, we can't even read all this joint. But like back then, like to Jeff's point, it's kind of like a lot of people in like my area, like they be looking like for an escape.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like comics, cartoons, anime, like all that stuff was a escape for, you know, that. So yeah, that was like my first time I realized like I was obsessive with it. And I wanted everybody else to be obsessive with it.
No doubt. Landers, how about you, man? Was it a moment?
Too many to name, but I would say over my life, people always bring up something, and I knew the answer. Like, they'll be having a conversation, like, what was that 80s cartoon? I'm like, oh, Pro Stars. Well, what was that movie? Oh, Howard the Duck. It's like I retained so much information in my life.
Howard the Duck.
Be it nerd stuff from different decades. So it's just stuck with me. So I say,
Yeah, so you saying like you just knew a bunch of stuff that other people didn't really know
Absolutely.
about. So it's like that kind of like damn, like why you don't know about it? You know what I'm saying? Like I know it, but why you don't?
Yeah, it's just the fact that I retained and I remembered the information. That's
Okay.
what stuck out the most. Like, be it video games, somebody like named something like weird, and I know like the character, the music, all that stuff.
Okay. That's what's up.
Kind of like Rain Man.
Yeah.
Like, I might be autistic when it comes to that stuff. I don't know. I might have a level of autism.
Rain Man.
I might have a level of autism.
We want to give you like a pop quiz or some shit. Like, yo,
Right.
You ask this man, you know, he'll tell you.
Yeah, man. Now Atlanta's been like that for a minute, man. And his knowledge of like all things old school, like pop culture, like is insane. I don't know. I think for me, I don't think I had necessarily a moment either. But I remember when I realized that this wasn't a phase was in college, because like I think growing up I couldn't hide it. I was into everything, comic books, anime, you know, the whole nine. And I always, you know, my father used to always say, like, you're going to grow out of it at some point. You know, like, the real world ain't made for all that fantasy. So I got to college thinking, like, okay, well, this is my moment. I'm grown now, quote unquote. And I remember, like, the first few weekends there, me and Sal on campus, West Illinois University, looking for a comic book store. Found one in the square and was, like, there every weekend with a little $20 in our pocket trying to buy comic books the whole way through. So it just never stopped. It only got, better. I won't say worse. It only got better for us. And, nowadays I'm a little jealous because like kids today get to really nerd out in a way that I don't feel like we could back then. Like, do you all feel like the culture's changed a lot where it's like a lot more cool to be a Blerd these days for kids?
It's pop culture now.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it's a very prominent part of like how people operate. It's cool. You got millions and millions of people going to see these movies. I think the movies really made it up there and normal versus back then. We didn't have reference points. We had to dig for that joint. We had to look for stuff.
Perfect example. Remember in high school when people was wearing them Japanimation shirts?
Yeah.
They was like button up. They were getting clowns so hard.
Oh, Lizzie.
Japanimation shirts. Like,
Lizzie has several of them joints. Lizzie.
but you could wear one of those today and it's just like, okay,
And it's cool.
It's cool. But back then, you would get, nah.
But see,
I made it out.
You made it out, Lindsay.
Fine.
I was gonna say like I didn't know it wasn't cool because nobody never like made fun of me for that. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So like I didn't know it was uncool. So like even to this day it's like I always viewed it as cool because nobody said like, yo, you into that bullshit, like that shit. I wasn't called a nerd. You know what I'm saying? Maybe because like it was my surroundings or like what I was also doing on the side or whatever. But like I didn't get called a nerd. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
But
So
Okay. Well, shout out to CVS because that wasn't the case for me, brother. It was.
I mean, but like you're not walking up down the street like or walking up down school like, yeah, I'm a nerd. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
true. That's true.
It's like I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that didn't resonate with me. But like I guess the sell point like is pop culture, so it's like I don't know, maybe like the 90s was like it was special, early 2000s. Like I don't think the kids actually I don't know if they really appreciate it like we did. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
like I can like when they make like the Iron Man movies or the Spider-Man movies, it's like that brings back memories.
Right.
Of like watching those TV shows or reading those comic books. Like kids these days, they don't read the comic books. They don't watch the TV show. They just know the movie. So it's like, I think it's different. You know what I mean?
See, back then it was more about machismo because if you watch stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, you kind of kept it to yourself because you didn't want to get teased and be called a lame or nerd.
I disagree.
A lot of
though.
times it was.
Nah,
disagree
I
too.
disagree. with
That's
that.
what I saw. I saw like the hardest dudes in school would like had sad conversations with nerds about Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. Like, oh,
But
shit,
you know
on the
what? My
side.
bad, Sel,
They
but
wouldn't
like-
let nobody in the world like know they watched it besides that group of people.
To that point, like I knew who, but like in high school or grammar school, like you knew who were nerds. Like you like, but like I think nerds back then was more like the lames. You know what I'm saying? They was like different. But I can still talk to them because I like what they liked as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't. They probably was picked on, or I never treated them different. But like I didn't get treated like an outcast like they did.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
you got to think about it too. Like, for some people, that was like a true escape, right? That's all they had was like that fantasy. You'll see kids like playing with the magic cards, like having a real battle and duel with like Pokemon, and you look like, yo, like I'm in a Pokemon, but I'm not that into Pokemon.
There's
right?
levels.
Like, shit, we all had Game Boys and stuff
no
like
doubt.
that. Yeah.
Nah, but that was
I
a
had
Game
Yu-Gi-Oh
Boy.
cards.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I ain't knocking people
I had
that had
Pokemon
it, but what I'm
cards, too.
saying is the difference, like the point that you bring up, you look like, man, nobody really even called me that because you probably had layers. You'll talk about Pokemon, you'll talk about sports, you'll talk about this, you'll talk about that, versus people that was consumed by it, right?
Okay, I get what
like
you're
the
saying.
difference, and it's true as essence, the people that could not relate to others, that was their only lane, that's all they had.
Okay.
But I don't want to speak for everybody, but for me, I had that amongst other things. But that's all I drew was Dragon Ball in high school. Like, and I was unapologetic with that. Like, it's just about like having that balance. Like, people would be like, man, you kind of geeky with your stuff, but they also knew like Sel will do this or he'll go hoop, he'll do that.
Yeah.
So I think your experience is different from somebody that's like
Truly, yeah.
like that's my life.
Yeah. And on that
Like-
note, I want to ask Lindsay how you thinking about it because Lindsay was like, to give a little bit of background, we were growing up, Lindsay was the guy that was into like the Yu-Gi-Oh cards and like and he was unapologetic, bringing it to school and like unapologetic, wearing the shirts, the Dragon Ball Z shirts. And I'm just curious, like did you have the same experience?
I honestly think that our part of the experiences it differently, even within the same nerd strata. So basically, like Pokemon cards would be a good example. I collected Pokemon cards, but I never actually knew how to play with them. I went on a vacation like Virginia, some shit like that, and I hung out with some little kid who went to a tournament where they were putting energies on the cards or shit like that. I didn't understand what any of it was, because at Beasley we would have the cards and flip a quarter, and whoever like got the tail or heads of the quarter, we would just choose whatever attack we were going to do off the cards. We didn't play it properly, and you would get bullied and like have your cards where I was with that stuff. So I guess started in grammar school having to defend it from that perspective. By the time I got to high school, it was like I've been through enough bullshit for this. I can play with cards.
and real talk, but I just gotta say, like we could laugh at it now, but like I always thought it was extremely brave, like to be able to be that unapologetic at that age. Because I'll be honest, like there was stuff I was into, and I had to choose like what I wanted the world to know I was into. Like it wasn't as easy for me to be like, going to school with my Pokemon deck or whatever, because it was like, how much do I want people to see of my nerdom? Like people who had conversations with me that I knew were into that stuff, I would share. But I wasn't as brave as Lindsay to go to school rocking the shirts or bringing the cars to school. Like a lot of stuff I had kept in and just decided, like I knew what I wanted people to be exposed to from like my nerdom, but a whole lot of that got left at home.
That's the point I was making.
I'll just say Pokemon is cooler than football. That's all. Controversial statement. But I show up to school with like Pokemon merch or Dragon Ball Z stuff. I don't know anything about football.
But isn't that like a part of just growing up? Period, right? Like you always very self-aware at a certain age of like what you give, what you present. So we ain't just talking about like nerd or blerd or whatever. We just talking about like growing up. Some people was more comfortable like Jeff, like ain't nobody gonna say nothing to me. Wish somebody would say something to me about my Dragon Ball joint.
Need some milk
and some right facts. And then some of us, just kind of went with the natural flow and we question some things. But I think that's like normal. You know what I mean? Like for different situations. Like
it's cool normal. Like hearing other people, you guys like experiences growing up with it. I mean, maybe because I know like with me, I just didn't give a fuck. Like I didn't care what people thought about me or what I was into.
Plus we're a little bit older than you too. So I'm not sure. It might have something to do with it. Lindsay as well. Lindsay on the younger side too. So everybody has something to do with it.
It could be.
Well, let's switch topics. So we got a lot to cover, y'all. We appreciate that little bit of background. I want to give the listeners a view into who we are as Blerds. But we got a whole lot of topics to discuss today. Lindsay, would you mind giving the listeners an idea of what they can expect to hear on the show today?
Our upcoming topics also include movie reviews, views on Oscar nominations, the Joker Best Picture speech given by Joaquin Phoenix. We'll be going into a spoiler review of Bad Boys 3 featuring Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. The next movie you'll be able to see them in will be Life 2, by Quincy Jones, also starring Martin Lawrence. This time it'll be set in a nursing home, the only place with worse than prison, and they'll be on the run from ICE to solve the aspects of their identities. After that, we'll be going into the Super Bowl previews, Falcon, and it's Winter Soldier, but it's misspelled as Soilder on this particular script. So I want to point out that we're implying that he'll piss himself or shit himself at some point during the preview.
I ain't even
going
think
into the Morbius trailer. With Jared Leto, it's not the first time he's played a bloodsucker. That would be actually Dallas Buyers Club. Blood transfusion. So was a sub in the Suicide Squad. We won't have to see him in Birds of Prey. I don't actually think we'll discuss that on the show today, but we will be predicting who killed Ghost, as well as the best show 2019 and what shows we are excited for in 2020.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that overview, Lindsay. We appreciate it, man.
De nada.
All right, so let's jump in first. We want to talk about obviously the big topic that's getting ready to come up are the Best Picture, the Oscars, getting ready to happen. And as Blerds, we can all celebrate the fact that we got Joker, a comic movie, in the running for Best Picture. That's historic. So, I'll run off the list of the nominees real quick, but we want to ask, how do you feel about its chances of actually winning? So the pictures that are in the Best Picture nominee are 1917, Ford versus Ferrari, Joker, of course, Once Upon a Lifetime in Hollywood, Parasite, The Irishman, super long movie, Little Women, Jojo Rabbit, and Marriage Story. So of all of those movies, how y'all feeling about the chance for Joker?
Yeah, I've seen about 4 of those.
I've seen 3.
Okay, all right.
I've seen The Irishman, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And Marriage Story was good.
I have not seen that.
Do not watch that with your wife.
That's all I've heard.
Why? Why not?
That's all I've heard.
It's a big joke for all the wives that's listening. Watch it with your wife.
Watch
it's
it
a
separately.
good film.
Watch it separately.
It's a good film.
Yeah, I've seen a few of these. I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was great. Like I don't know if it's gonna win Best Picture, but I definitely think that's one of Quentin Tarantino's top.
I thought it was good. I didn't like the portrayal of Bruce Lee.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I mean, it was supposed to be a parody. Like
I know, but I still ain't like I'm sensitive with Bruce Lee. Don't fuck with Bruce Lee.
You felt like it was disrespectful?
Yeah, like
yeah.
Yep.
Lindsay, you too?
Oh yes. I still have not and probably never see the movie. I've been told there's some sort of cool twist that happens in it, but I'm cool. I'm cool on that. As soon as I saw Bruce Lee in the trailer, kind of same thing. I was like, you have the option of displaying this man as he was, or just doing a parody and like inserting the idea that he's some sort of like blowhard jerk who just comes up to people and challenges them to fights, but also loses to random white dudes that nobody knows. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
I think Joker doesn't have a good chance of winning. I think like our passion for the genre and all that stuff makes us want to like say it's gonna win, but it hasn't been winning across like every other awards for Best Picture.
That's just old white dudes vote for the movies.
Yeah, it's been winning for Best Actor.
And
so we know it's gonna get recognition for Best Actor at the Oscars. He gonna win, but Best Picture probably.
Well, let's talk about that. So switch gears real quick so that the listeners are aware. Best Actor nominees for the Oscars. You got Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes. You got Adam Driver, a.k.a. Kylo Ren from Marriage Story, Antonio Banderas from Pain and Glory, and Leo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's his competition. And you got Leo in there. You ain't sweating a little bit if you walk in?
That wasn't Leo best performance.
But
that
wasn't. But has Leo won yet for Best Actor?
Yes.
Okay.
He has,
all
for
right.
Reverend.
Because I know he had a drought.
Who? The Revenant?
Revenant. Sorry, I said
Okay, yeah, that was a
Okay,
dope
that was a
role.
dope role. Okay, so he's got his because sometimes they give it to an actor just because of their body of
That
work.
wasn't his best.
That wasn't his best either, though.
It wasn't.
The Revenant. That was a good ass movie, but that wasn't his best.
It was like, man, he was in the cold, like for real in the cold. Give him that Oscar.
Yeah, that bear attack and shit. Yeah. I think Joaquin has a legit chance of winning this because I don't see no other performance that was better than his last year.
Yeah.
At least that's nominated. You know what I mean? Like he embodied that role. He made it his own.
Right.
Like they even talking about they trying to compare him to Heath performance, but it may be an unfair. You don't think so?
I don't know, man. I think that it's difficult to compare because Heath was a Joker in a Batman movie, and Joaquin had the camera on him for the entire film.
Yeah, that's why I say it's unfair to compare.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that. I just think that obviously I think Heath inspired his performance for Joker, but I don't think that it's fair to compare, because they are two different movies, one's more of an action movie and Joker was more of a drama in my opinion. So, but let me ask y'all this. I mean, the one comparison that you can make is like whether or not Joaquin can be considered like the best Joker portrayal, period. And like you'd had a lot out there, Jack Nicholson's role.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Jack Nicholson, not even close. To
Oh,
Heath
okay,
or-
okay.
He's not in the
Jack-
conversation.
Oh, you got Jack like 3?
Jack is 3.
Yeah.
Jack is
Is
3.
he better than Cesar Romero?
Hey,
Be honest.
I think so.
He's better than Cesar Romero. Okay.
bro, Jack Nicholson was Jack Nicholson
But
as
he
the
was
Joker.
But he was great though. Like growing up, you
It's not a
didn't.
bad thing.
Hold on, you didn't
Hold
like
on.
Jack Nicholson's Joker.
I don't know if
of the
I ain't
80s?
never heard this one before.
If we are looking at
Break it down.
If we looking at it, like we talk about nostalgia, right?
Right.
We watched that in the 90s, right?
Maybe
No,
the 80s.
89.
Yeah.
So nostalgia plays a high part of what we think is great. If we
sure.
really go back and analyze those movies back to back to back, like all the different portrayals of the Joker, Jack Nicholson be far at the bottom. And y'all
Damn.
you cannot in comparison to Heath and Phoenix.
Okay,
He
so
not touching them. It don't even come close.
you know what?
I wouldn't say that.
Did you say that? Well, he better than Leto.
he better than
He's
who?
better than Jared Leto.
Leto?
Well, that's
Who?
not
Leto.
saying much. That's
Wait,
not
hold on.
saying
Don't
much.
be
I don't
disrespectful.
even- I think
Don't
y'all-
be disrespectful to Jared
I
Leto
was about
Joker.
to say,
You like
yeah.
the whole Nixon. I'm not a crook.
Look,
Yeah,
Jared Leto.
man.
You
Jack
like
Nich-
that?
Jack Nicholson a dope actor, right?
Facts.
But some people had does. Now Batman was beyond this time. I was like, dang, like they could actually do this with comic book movies, right? But if you comparing it to how it's evolved, he don't touch none of that. I wouldn't even say. I say Leto was pretty.
So Leto was better than Nicholson. Are you serious?
Hold on. Lindsay.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you on Leto.
Hold on.
Like,
Lindsay is the
Hold on,
Lindsay
let
is
me-
the Batman aficionado. I've got to ask Lindsay, what you feeling about this, man?
I would actually surprisingly put Nicholson's performance not on par with Phoenix, but he's very close. I think they're very close in terms of equal performances. I think Heath was the best, but I definitely don't think I watched Batman '89 like 3 weeks ago. Jack Nicholson is still good. Like he's still scary.
Okay, put it like this.
He's a menacing gangster of a Joker, and I know he was better at that than Leto. I know he was better at that than Cesar Romero, who brought his own thing to the role. But I wouldn't put him at the bottom by far. No, he in terms of business moves, he made one of the smartest moves of the entire cast, signing a contract to get licensing royalties from his portrayal of the Joker for years going onward. But no, he played out of that role. He was scary as a gangster and as a Joker.
I would just say this: Heath Ledger is obviously the best Joker of all time.
Okay.
It's clearly, but River Phoenix is
Yes.
the best actor. He played the best role in terms of acting and ability and talent in a role. He bodied it. That's what I said.
I gotta. I mean, I agree with those two, but I can't. I gotta have y'all put some respect on my man Jack Nicholson, man.
He's third.
I do. I believe he's third. I believe he's third. I'll give you that.
Second and a half.
But yeah, second and a half. Like I just can't. I can't say enough. Like think about Batman before '89. Like how Batman and Joker had been portrayed. I'm sorry.
Goofy shit.
Goofy as hell, right? And
Yeah.
and then when they got, I remember early '89 when they announced that Michael Keaton was going to take on the role as Batman. He'd been doing comedic roles before that. Then you get this ultra serious role for Batman. They completely took the goofiness out. People were hella skeptical of that movie when it came out. And then you put Jack Nicholson in as the Joker. And when you see the movie and you see his portrayal, he completely shifted people's opinion of what the Joker was. And then that opened the door to people like Heath and them to have these dark portrayals of Joker because of how he reversed the character. Like he was a goofy before that.
But
You shot a mob boss 8 times, 2 minutes after being born on the screen. 2 minutes. He just came in and shot the dude 8 times while dancing. Badass.
I mean, that's cool and all, but with time things get better. Like what he did was different. We give credit to him setting a standard, right? But once you set the standard, you still leave room for other people to eclipse that performance. And I think Heath eclipses that performance. And I also think Joaquin did too. So it's not disrespectful to put them ahead of him. It's actually kind of paying homage because he set the standard and he left room for them to make it their own.
True.
Makes sense.
So I guess my question is, what did you guys like about Jared Leto's
Please.
performance?
I
Did
didn't
miss
for me.
That's a
miss
whole
something?
nother
I'm just
conversation.
Okay. All right.
I just don't think it was as bad as y'all think it was.
What was
You know
good
what I'm
about
saying?
it, though? I'm saying, what was redeeming about it?
I don't think it was bad. Like that's my argument. Like you saying it was bad, I'm like, no, it wasn't. Like he didn't do anything terrible in the movie to me. Like there's nothing that when he was on screen, I was like, yo, that's a Joker. Like cool. I was cool with it.
I mean, he didn't do anything.
He was probably in the movie
like,
for like 6 minutes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
why.
Like,
They cut a lot. They cut a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears for a second. On the topic of Joaquin Phoenix, I gotta ask, for the culture, we just saw him giving an impassioned speech at the BAFTA Awards. If you haven't seen it, go check out the clip. He basically called out white privilege
white
at an awards show, and what I liked about it is he put the onus on white people. It wasn't one of those things where it was like he was making a general statement. He called out the white folks in the room and said it's up to us. It's our responsibility to make the situation today more inclusive because we're the ones that screwed it up in the first damn place. Yeah. What did you all think? And do you think that he would do that same speech at the Oscars if he won?
Ooh. It sounded like he had like a conversation like recently in regards to it. Like somebody either pushed him or it seemed like that was something that was sparked by something in like his personal life. Because he didn't gave a lot of speeches, right? So why did he choose like this moment? Did he think it was a bigger platform, right? Or do you think, because it seemed like not what you're trying to say, but like at the Oscars, that's the largest platform that he would shy away from it or something like that. I think this caught like wind, so it's like YouTube trending and all that stuff. Yeah, and you can appreciate it, but anybody can get up and make a speech. Like I'm like almost like, what you gonna do after the fact to support your words? Because it's one thing to put something out there, right? But it's another thing to actually push the change that you're talking about. So you ain't got control over the people that's in the audience. You just got control over your narrative, what you do. Right. So I'll wait to see what he does after he makes this statement to get him. It's dope speaking up. I don't want to take that away from him, but what's the story after that? So we'll see.
Facts.
Yes, I agree with Sel. Like I think it's always good to see white people be aware of white supremacy, white institutionalized, racism. They created the problem, so it's nice to hear someone, try to like be held accountable, and want to, fix it, and put the responsibility on, those people to fix it. Because when he was, making a speech, they was panning into the audience, and it was a
them
lot
reactions.
It was a lot of white people that was looking uncomfortable.
Yeah, they were.
But you got to have those uncomfortable conversations.
Absolutely.
And what better way to do that with a microphone in your hand, everybody watching? They all were probably looking for a different speech. Yeah. And he like shocked them, like, yo, this is what we need to do. Yep. And then he held himself accountable by saying, like, I've played a role in this as well. So I like that he said it. I'm also interested to see like what he's gonna do with it. Yeah, that's my take on it.
And just one last point, like you think about all the stuff actors get up and speak about, it's never like self-accountability for the industry, right? And so like for him to get up and do that versus, people talking about forest fires, they talking about Trump and politics and all this stuff where you kind of like point the finger. Like that was the most powerful thing I think he did, was like call, like that point that you said about how the audience was looking. Yeah. Like it's that uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. They need that.
That was dope.
Absolutely.
On his part.
Absolutely. And to your point, Sil, I feel like, the conversation about, representation in Hollywood is one that hasn't really been on the forefront, because you're right. There are so many other social issues that people have brought to the stage lately. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but that's a very important conversation in Hollywood. Every year, I mean, we just saw Issa Rae when she was announcing all of the nominees at the end. She was like, like, congratulations to all those men. And it was like, like it was like kind of shade because she's looking like, you know, there were no women nominated even for, you know, the films that they had produced and directed. And so it's a conversation that should be had from all angles. But, you know, I really respect the fact Joaquin was able to have that conversation. I'd be interested to see if he brings it at the Oscars, though. I don't know. Like that stage a little bit bigger. All right.
What you think, Lindsay?
I feel like I want to see something happen, but it doesn't have a historical track record of making as big of an impact as we assume. 2014, when the Oscars were boycotted, I think Jada Pinkett Smith was like, "I'm not going to the show," and she hadn't been nominated for any Oscars. Now, in this case, Joaquin has been nominated, and this movie has been nominated. It'd be good for him to continue to utilize the place as a platform. But if you go way back, 1973, Marlon Brando, when he was nominated for The Godfather, he had Sam Littlefeather go up there and basically take the booze for him to bring attention to the standoff at Wounded Knee and Hollywood's mistreatment of Native Americans. It's historical, both the racism in Hollywood as well as the inaction by the general industry to do anything about it. But Joaquin can come to the cookout, stand at the front, and check other people who come in, and he'll get a courtesy plate at the end of it.
Yeah, it's like, how can I put it? Like you appreciate it, and we know like we're underrepresented at these award shows. So it's like I don't really put much stock into it because I know we're not represented properly. Right. And I think, and honestly, I hate that we look at these award shows as validation. So it's like you don't need to be validated because you don't necessarily have to be validated by this award show that's really only nominates white performers, white movies, because I honestly feel like the movies that black people make or any other culture make can go hand in hand with these other movies that come out. We just don't have we're just not included, and we don't have the proper opportunity to show it. Like most of like these awards would be like indie awards, you know what I mean? Like it'd be slept on, or like I want to like see. I want to be like a fly in the room when these people are going over these movies and what's the criteria that they choose to be nominated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't.
But that's the thing, Jeff. Like I feel you, but I don't think it's necessarily like we look at the awards as like these actors or actresses are looking at it for validation. I think it's just about recognition and acknowledgement of like their performances, because when you start looking at some of the actors and actresses who are nominated for these pictures and you compare just the craft, like just the amount of work they put into embodying these roles, and you compare it to some of the black actors and actresses who are doing the exact same thing, there are times and instances where we know we have put out better performances. And why should it be up to us and the NAACP Image Awards and the BET Awards to recognize that we're putting out stellar content too, that we're making we're building amazing performances and actors and actresses, right? And they just don't have an opportunity to even be recognized compared to their white counterparts in Hollywood. That to me is like the whole point of it. It's not necessarily validation; it's just acknowledgement.
But look at how, I agree with you wholeheartedly. But like, they don't. We're looking for that from a system that hasn't recognized us and hasn't fixed their way of seeing things. So it's like we don't need them to say that we did a good job. You know what I mean? That's just my point. Like if we go back to like segregation, like when Martin Luther King said, like, I feel like I led my people into a burning house. And that was like to say that we didn't necessarily have to like fight segregation, even though it was morally wrong. Like we were so concerned about being included, where we could have just took our power and secluded ourselves and still built our own. You know what I mean? So it's like we don't have, even though we have like our award shows, it's like it doesn't feel like it's enough because this white institution is not recognizing us. And that's just my thing. Like maybe because that's a personal thing. Like I don't need other people to validate me or my feelings or my hard work. especially like a white institution, I'm cool with like my people, you know what I'm saying, giving me that recognition, giving me those things. So like I just look at it a little different, even though it shouldn't be like that. But I look at it just a little bit different on that side.
So,
I mean, I'll just make a quick point. You can't say that you represent all like the industry as a whole if you're not
including them,
encompassing, right?
For sure.
And so they need to be held accountable
Facts.
to what they advertise. And so
Facts.
it's more so like, yeah, to your point, for systems and award shows that actually do recognize the hard work that people of color put into, their craft, that's cool. However, they advertise to, I'm going to recognize this certain group because that is important to the culture and the building of the culture, right? But this particular thing, like the Oscars, they say, like, all movies.
Yeah.
Anything great out there. And if you're not putting it out there consistently, that's a fault on yourself. So, like, some of them fighting against holding to their word.
Yeah.
And that's, it's kind of
like what makes the Oscars the standard? Like, why is the Oscars the standard?
history.
It's history? Is that all it is?
That's it.
Because like, why isn't like the Golden Globes or like the other? You know what I'm saying? Like everyone looked at the Oscars.
Screen Actors Guild is the standard for me. Like people
for
appreciate
sure. And
that way more.
Yeah.
It's more
But
balanced too.
Yeah,
Right?
but like, why is it like,
it's just
it's the
history.
Oscars? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like a brand in a way. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing though. When you got that type of power, you get held accountable to more to me. And
You're supposed to.
You're supposed to. So like for the people that's pushing, I can't knock them for pushing, but for the mindset around it, like I do agree with you. We need to find something that we own, that we cherish just as much as we cherish what somebody outside of the culture can give us, right?
Because I like what Brian Hayes say. Fuck him.
Shout out to B. Hayes.
But last point, that platform that's like normalized like across so many different people, even black people that say, oh man, I don't rock with the Oscars, they still watch to see who won, right?
Yeah, right.
But just think about that Caucasian person in Macomb.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That watch it. You get what I mean? Like it's an exposure culturally to like what's going on as well.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt.
Big platform.
So let's talk real quick while we on the topic of culture and celebrating our films. Bad Boys 3 has now been out and selling out theaters across the nation. To our listeners, by the way, we are getting ready to have a spoiler conversation. So if you have not seen Bad Boys, you may want to fast forward a bit. We'll put in the description where. But for those of us who have finally seen and celebrated this movie, let's talk Bad Boys 3. What y'all think of the movie? What score would you give it? Go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, well, let me get a disclaimer real quick. My wife, I told her I wouldn't watch it without her, but I watched like a bootleg copy of it because we didn't get a chance to go to the show.
Disrespectful.
So when she listens to this, she gonna be mad as hell. Like, I just heard the podcast. You watch Bad Boys without me?
Jeff,
God damn it!
I'm gonna go to the basement and work on something real quick.
So
you put yourself in the dog.
I know. So like, man, Nvidia Shield popped that up.
So you was lying a couple of weeks ago, huh? You saw that?
Yeah, it was crazy. She asked about me like, "Did you watch Bad Boys?" I'm like, "No, man. What you talking about?"
Got told on the podcast.
I would probably give it a out of 10. I'd probably give it an 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah,
okay.
And I want to go to the show to see it, but I like, I cut the cord and I didn't get a chance to go yet. But based off the copy that was on there, it was a decent copy. I give it an 8.5. It might go higher if I actually see it in the movies. I thought it was dope.
Man.
I ain't really had like too many problems with it. I heard they green lighted a Part 4.
Yes, sir.
I guess the Sun.
Yes, sir.
I think it'll be cool. I liked it a lot. It has some funny ass moments. The action was cool.
Facts.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was everything it was going to be. Like I wasn't.
Okay.
Even though I probably saw it with low expectations because I didn't think they was going to top Bad Boys 2. And then we can talk about Bad Boys 2. It wasn't as good as people make it to be.
It wasn't.
Michael Bay? Like that shit was all over the place. But I think 3 probably was better than 2
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like the 8 point. I give it an 8.5, and that's just, and I think that's a modest that's a modest score.
Lindsay, did you see it yet?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I would give it a 9.
9.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I had few if any complaints. I was surprised because I thought Will was going to eat up screen time, but like I think after maybe like the first 20
Facts.
minutes,
I agree, Lindsay.
Martin found his footing in the movie, and it was everything I anticipated it to be and more. And the climax made it satisfying. Well, wait, yeah, we could talk about. So Martin getting to actually be violent at the end of the movie was really really good in terms of like keeping him in character and so he wasn't the violent one.
Yeah.
Face.
Yep.
That was a good spin.
That was.
It was about an 8 for me. I was leaning between 7.5 and 8 because that's still good.
Yeah.
I think it was because I watched the last 2 this past week. I think it was the best of the series.
Yep.
The reason why, because it was like, this was sideways, but it showed like men being like very vulnerable for like the first 35 minutes or something like that. Like black men, friendship, like all that stuff, like legacy, family.
Right.
Like it pulled on a lot more heartstrings than the ones prior. Is like a more cliche, almost cliche.
Surface
actually.
level. Yeah.
And this one really
When he
made you
found
get
that hair
attached.
dye.
Right. Like low key though, that's some like when he was brushing his hair when he was in the bed, like combing the beard, that like that's love, like that's like true brotherhood. So I think in terms of all 3 of them, that was the best, and then they established like somewhat of a legacy that they can build from the franchise, similar like Fast and the Furious, that we thought that wouldn't last at all. Now we on 9, but Bad Boys can build from this franchise.
For sure.
I think Will Smith and Martin chemistry was dope, even though I feel like Martin took like a slight step back in regards to like his comedic timing, but it picked up.
It picked up definitely by the end of the movie.
So 8 for me.
I'd probably give it an 8 too. It's hard for me to give any action movie a solid 10 just because of how ridiculous some of the stuff is in action movies. But in terms of the performances, I still think this was their best of the series, like you said. I think Martin definitely stepped it up the second half of the movie. Like his jokes had me in tears. Like that brother combing his head, like you said, when he was in the hospital. And to me, it's rare that a movie surprises me the way that this one did, because I didn't even see the kid angle coming. Like I was completely like, wait, what? Like I didn't see that coming with Will. So that took me by surprise. And I got to say, like all around, I thought it was a dope movie, and I hope they get the same director, writer back for the 4th.
Who directed this one?
Don't know.
Okay. Lindsay, what about Lindsay? You said you gave it a 8. You said a 9?
Yeah.
9? Okay, so we on a spectrum.
So real quick, just looked it up, and director for the Bad Boys 3 movie is Bilal Falal, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Okay.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. All right. Now, with that said, let's move on to topics that are not yet in the theaters, but soon to be. This last weekend was the Super Bowl. Shout out to Kansas City, President Trump. It is not the state of Kansas. But there were quite a few previews that came out of that. So first, as a fan of all things Marvel, we got to talk about, the obvious, which is the Falcon, the Winter Soldier preview, Loki. They threw all of that in there. So we got a little glimpse, a small glimpse at what we got in store for those. Were you all excited about the previews at all? How'd y'all feel about it?
They were pretty quick, like bite size. The idea of them exploring the characters, that's exciting to me. But
True.
I ain't really got much to go off of. I know y'all got some issues.
Oh, I got issues.
We'll talk about that.
I was sitting on it, but since we here, we just go ahead and need to throw it out there.
Clearly, you could see the Scarlet Witch Vision series going to be more sitcom type.
Yeah, like why though?
But I mean, I could give a reason why.
It's Scarlet Witch.
I mean, it's variations, and she deals with magic, right?
She's a mutant.
If they give us different avenues to view these characters, the first 4 episodes of Scarlet Witch supposed to be sitcom type. Then the next 4 are supposed to explore it on a more serious thing, but all of it ties together, right?
Okay.
If Winter Soldier and Falcon can stick with the theme of the Winter Soldier movie, like that espionage,
that might be dope.
It's gonna be dope, especially exploring Falcon deeper and exploring the Winter Soldier, who is like a very dope, in-depth character.
Facts.
And giving Falcon a chance to be like, what does it feel like to be like a black Captain America, which I think Marvel would tackle. I hope they will, because that was a big part of his books. And Loki, they didn't give us much, but Loki is Loki. He's pretty
just
dope.
he's in time jail.
Right.
That's pretty much all we got. But
I'm excited.
my problem with the preview is him disrespecting my man Cap Shield and throwing it in trees, man. Like,
If you wanna cut some trees down, use a damn axe.
thank you.
What the fuck you doing, man?
Thank you.
This is probably the most ridiculous argument. I want to be very clear on that. Like, it looked like he was on a damn farm, right?
Fuck that farm.
What you want him to throw it into the house, into a tractor?
Shit,
You know what
do
I'm saying?
something, goddamn it! You ain't fighting trees.
you.
Ain't
And then
nobody
then
gonna be
y'all-
standing still while they trying to whoop your ass.
Bro, then y'all disrespectful. Cap been throwing that shield around for decades. You
Yeah,
feel
not
me?
to no
bouncing
damn
off
tree.
shit.
It's
Exactly.
ricochet.
Can my man
ricocheting.
practice?
Pew, pew.
Can he practice, bro?
He out here just throwing it in trees, not even knocking the tree down, just
Bro,
stuck in a damn tree.
I'm gonna come at y'all biased right now. It's because it's a black Captain America.
Get the
Y'all
fuck out of here!
How dare you? How dare you?
You wasn't saying that about that Caucasian black Captain America.
Shit, he ain't disrespected.
I
Shit.
promise I'm gonna pull a clip when his stuff got stuck into something like that
It was-
car in Winter Soldier.
That's different. That's
a
a
car.
car.
It's a car.
It's a fucking
Got
car.
stuck. It ain't ricochet,
It was supposed
bro.
to.
It's
It was
not the
supposed to
middle of
get.
a forest, Sam.
Fuck you in the forest for, man? All them
he's
damn
getting-
wild animals.
Let's
Get your black ass back on the block. And all this-
Hey, let's be clear. Cap was getting his ass whooped the first third of that fight. He did not want to lose that shield in that car, bro. He needed that jump.
Facts. Facts. Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like, oops. Ran to get that shield quick.
Oh man, Lindsay, what you think of the trailers, man?
I think clearly Anthony Mackie has never played Street Fighter. I too would be the first person to want to beat up a car if I had a shield. I don't know why he was spraying trees. I'm not excited to see him. Excuse me. In this, or in season 2 of Alter Carbon. There we go. So
Ooh,
was
I
gonna say
can't
Black
wait.
Mirror, but no.
I can't wait for Alter Carbon. I mean, I'm not sure how they're gonna do it this season, but the first season, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was
What is it?
amazing. Altered Carbon on Netflix. That first season, I mean, it had a very slow start,
What is it about?
but Lindsay, you want to explain it?
It's called Alter
I would
Carbon.
say that it's
Yeah.
a little difficult to explain. It is very similar to Runner, I would say, in terms of what sort of sci-fi it's going to take you. But essentially, people are sleeves. Your consciousness is stored in some like a disc device that goes into the back of your neck. And people are brought back into different sleeves. If you're a prisoner, then you can like be put in cryostasis and brought back like thousands of years later as an enforcer, which is the case with this dude Takeshi Kovacs. The entire story, or rather the show, is just an explanation of his story and like how he's a part of this special group of people who have powers outside of regular people who just have this to go in their neck. But I don't want to butcher it any further. It's been like over a year I've seen it because of the space between this one and season 2. Just hope to see it's done well. Maybe it redeems Anthony Mackie the way Ozark redeemed Jason Bateman for Tony. I don't know.
So you know you started us off with I'm gonna try to explain, and then you just
perfectly
explained it like thorough as
he
hell.
did. Yeah. That's why I pitched it to him, because I knew I couldn't do that.
Like, I'm gonna try. It's a little heavy, but I'm gonna try to
He
explain.
threw sleeves in there. I'm like, yes, I could not have done that.
It's a historical depiction of. Like, come on, bro.
Yo, that was a dope
And rich
explanation.
people are cheating. Once again, that's like the moral of the story is that the rich people are cheating in the entire system. Rich people be having replacement sleeves that other poor people can't afford. They can go into pretty people whenever they want to.
I'm gonna check
Poor
that
people
out.
is like,
It was good.
we want something
It
else.
was a dope show. All right, so let's switch gears real quick. Talk about another trailers now that have dropped for Black Widow. Y'all excited about seeing Scarlet back up there in the role?
I'm not excited about it, but it looked interesting.
Now, why aren't you excited?
Yes.
Cause I still don't know where Marvel is going with this next phase. It's just it doesn't seem like a clear path right now. Cause like when the first phase, the first 10 years, like we knew what they were building up to. So like this Scarlet Witch movie, like why?
Why?
What's the purpose of this movie? Like what are they building? Like are we gonna have like some some end credit scenes because she's dead, right?
She's yes.
So this is like a prequel. You know what I mean?
And-
so what's the like? I don't
think
see the
there's-
purpose of it. I'm going to watch it, but I'm not like super excited about it.
So let me just say, like, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from. I think we have to give Marvel a chance to like rebuild like the second phase and like introduce new characters. And I think that's what this movie might do. Like, I've seen some stuff online just about predictions for the movie, and I think it may be, you know, her sister who reclaims the role or reprises the role as Scarlet Witch.
That's trash.
I think that, you know, her dying in the in the end game was, you
That
know,
was
it's tragic. But
Tragic and trash.
if they so you wouldn't be interested at all to see like if this movie made her sister the new Scarlet Witch.
no,
like, you wouldn't.
why?
So they have somebody to replace her.
You know, she should never died in the first place.
But she did have like one of the dopest like character arcs. Like if you think
Absolutely.
of how she started and what it ended for her was like family, right?
Right.
Like so the idea of like how lost she became once everybody like disappeared.
No,
and-
but nobody was sad when she died.
what are you talking about?
Wait,
She died
hold
in
on,
Endgame.
man.
When she died, it
I
was
was
like,
saying, I
oh
can't
shit,
speak for everybody,
she
but I
died.
was saying.
Like an hour after she died, they got attacked. Like we didn't have time to like
Yeah,
be
but, like-
mourning. Like Captain America shed like a real tear, bruh.
But did you
The
feel
white,
it?
the white
you
Captain
feel-
America shed.
Did you feel that
know how
too?
you
Did
feel.
you did you feel that
Then we
too?
had time to feel.
Nah.
I
fuck
felt
outta
it when
here.
Jeremy Renner, when they were fighting to see who should sacrifice
That was
themselves.
dope.
I
It
felt
was
that
dope.
scene.
The moment
I
was
felt that
dope.
scene.
But like when she died, it was like, oh shit, she died.
I didn't
Alright,
feel
wasn't
that
it?
way.
Like it wasn't
man,
for me. I wasn't emotionally attached to her. She was just
So you wasn't in love with the character then?
no,
what
I
you
wasn't.
saying.
I don't really think she was really needed for Marvel. Like I really don't.
That's kind of disrespectful. Bro.
It's
I'm gonna
not,
let you
bro.
have
Like
that.
she was whooping aliens.
Yeah. How many humans you know
Show-
that can whoop aliens?
That's the point. Like
Yeah.
she didn't. She
Hey.
wasn't no damn mutant or no damn. She had no superpowers.
Bro, you are.
Man.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Bro, so now we saying now we're saying that humans. So
No, I'm not
you
saying
probably
that.
a fan of Batman. I'm almost sure.
Yeah.
So now we're using the point. She ain't got no powers. All she got is a suit, and she got.
But you
her little
compared it to
tasers.
Batman. You gonna compare
comparison.
Black
They're both
Widow to
humans.
fucking Batman?
No, I'm comparing your argument. So you saying
What I'm no
Your argument was
no.
human.
My argument is my original argument was she don't need to be replaced. They should have never killed her. That's my argument.
okay?
You know what I'm saying? So like
You also saying she's irrelevant.
yeah, she's like I don't think she's as important as y'all think she is. Like I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe would have been fine without her. And I'm not trying to sound like misogynistic, whatever the word is. Like I'm not like shitting on her, but it's like in a grand scheme of things, I don't think her character arc is as important as others. Now, of course, like it's cool that she's like getting a movie, but like I feel like the movie is out of place. I feel like if we got this movie when they were going into like the other backstories, like Cap, like Black Panther, like Thor, like if we would have got that then, it was like, oh, okay, cool. But now it's like we don't really need to know, and I don't think we're ever gonna find out what happened at Bangladesh with her and with Hawkeye. Like that's been like their saying when they fight together. Like me and you remember this is a lot different than you know what I'm saying. So it's like, are we ever gonna really find out what happened then? Like I don't really. I'm not maybe because I'm not connected to her character. That's all I'm saying, and I don't really see the need. But I'm not like shitting on her. I just don't feel the need.
Marvel got a history of showing up.
Absolutely.
So I know if they starting phase 4 or ending phase, what was it 3 with this movie or starting with this movie, it's all like a purpose behind it, right?
Agreed.
And so, I think it is throwing us off because she just died. Like, what's she getting her own movie for? However,
That's only my point. That's all my point
Yeah.
is. Like I just feel like it's out of place. That's all.
But I'm almost sure when they chose her to die, it was probably a purpose for them doing this movie. So it's kind of like a waiting game. But Black Widow was kind of dope to me. And
I thought so too.
You just saying
I
that
like
that's Scarlet. That's all.
No,
I don't even rock with old girl like that. But
You rock with her voice on hers.
a voice on her, that's different.
That was different.
That's different. You know what I'm saying? Now you bringing up, like, let's be real. Little raspy joint,
Y'all crazy, yo. All right, well, we'll see when the movie comes out. Speaking of movies, last but certainly not least, we got a trailer for Morbius that drops soon. Jared Leto, I am happy to see getting a shot at this because I thought he got a little bit of unfair criticism from the Suicide Squad movie. I mean, I think that movie, me personally, I thought it was a silly movie. I know some other people in this room have different opinions about it, but I didn't like Suicide Squad. And I didn't feel like Jared Leto got an opportunity to really showcase himself as Joker in that film. So I thought he got a lot of the blowback from the movie as being like a whack Joker. But like
he wasn't a whack Joker.
When you look at when you look at the fact that the script itself was awful, in my opinion, it's not a lot he could do with it.
Suicide Squad was not bad. Like I don't understand. Like it has like some moments I was like, all right, okay, but like overall, it wasn't a bad movie. Like it wasn't like y'all been shitting on Suicide Squad since it came out. Like I don't understand how y'all hate that movie, man.
We need a hated it button on the soundboard from Films for these particular types of films. I don't think that movie can come back Croc wanting BET in a cell. Like I don't think.
Thank
there's
you.
a lot of other things that happen
Totally
in that
agree.
movie, but that was the one where I just threw my utensils down like Shorty and got it from the table. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I totally agree.
Y'all pick and choose on what y'all.
No,
As
that
much
was
as I hated
allowed.
X-Men First Class,
offensive.
I hated Suicide Squad more than that.
Wait, you hated X-Men First Class?
I
no,
hated
man, we ain't
X-Men
got
First Class?
We don't have
You
to
might
talk
be need to be dismissed from this conversation. How do you hate X-Men First Class, bro?
First Class was awful. They said, we guys, let's come up with nicknames. Yeah, Xavier,
They
he's
were
a professor.
kids, man.
So we're gonna call him maybe Teacher X? No, Professor. And me, I cause havoc and trouble. Oh, I'll be havoc.
For somebody that ain't like that damn movie, you sure remember all the words from it.
Fucking dumb.
Quote, that's a
terrible
complete
things.
quote.
It ain't worse with it ain't worse than you know what happens to a frog when it gets hit by lightning.
Yeah, the first
Okay. All right, the first X-Men was terrible. So there are levels to it. It wasn't that bad, but
First Class was better than X-Men 1, but not as good as X-Men 2 or 3. And
X-Men 3 was
wasn't that
trash. X-Men 3 was trash.
Yeah, 3 was disheartening.
Yes,
that
they-
shit was
Like,
terrible.
no respect for the material. Yeah.
And I hate Cyclops, but they did him bogus as hell in that one.
Yeah.
Like he didn't deserve that death.
Bro, why you bringing up Cyclops looking at me, though? Why you bringing up Cyclops looking at me? Gene!
You know why.
Gene.
The biggest defender of Cyclops in the room.
Y'all are so disrespectful. Like,
But you know he ain't deserve that death in X-Men 3.
nah, he did, because the way they portrayed the character, he was. They wasted Cyclops. Yeah.
Absolutely. But
All of them.
but back to the original question. Morbius. Are you all excited at all about Morbius?
It looked dope.
Thought
It's
so.
cute.
It's cute.
Yeah.
But why though? Like they not gonna bring Blade in this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like what's up with
I don't think you need Blade.
Spider-Man? You need Spider-Man in it.
Did Venom need Spider-Man? The Venom that came out?
Venom needed something. I didn't like that movie.
You didn't like Venom either?
didn't like
Yo,
Venom.
y'all are harsh
like
at these
Venom.
movies,
But
yo.
look, I respect
thought I
it.
was a tough critic, but goddamn.
So Sony, I see what they're trying to do, and I respect it. Like they're trying to build these villains around the Spider-Man universe, and my hope is that at some point they rebuild like the Sinister Six, and they have like even if it's like Morbius, Venom, or whoever else, like if they rechange the characters. I was a little optimistic when I saw that they had what's his name, Vulture from the last Spider-Man.
Yeah. Is he
in the
supposed to be
trailer.
Vulture though?
I think so. I mean, who else? I mean, I
Why
can't
else
see them
would he
having
be in
him.
it, right?
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
anybody else. So if they're gonna try to tie the Spidey universe together and use him as like a central person to get all these villains together to gang up on Spidey, I think that could lead itself into an excellent, Sinister Six movie.
Or Maximum Carnage too, because if you think
I
about
wanna
it,
see it, yeah.
Morbius was on Spider-Man's side, Venom was on like they so like building up these anti-heroes
Yeah.
to like that could be like they 4 years.
That would be dope.
That'll be dope. It'll be dope.
Yeah. I mean, Sinister Six should definitely be like a Spider-Man movie,
Yeah.
but like that whole like Infinity War type of vibe.
They
Sony
could
trying
do
to
it.
that.
Yeah,
They could do that.
They could definitely
what
do
they're
it.
doing right now.
But like I still think you need to kind of throw in Spider-Man a little bit. Like Venom didn't have any Spider-Man. Like it would have been cool. They
Not
did
even a reference.
Yeah, like
Well-
if they would have just did a little bit of something, you don't have to like actually have them in there. But like
Yeah.
if he was reading a newspaper that had Spider-Man on a newspaper,
But you
or
saw
if
in the
it was
trailer, like,
you know what I'm
but
saying?
you saw in the trailer, at least for Morbius, I mean, they had the PS4 version of Spider-Man on the
I heard
wall.
that was like it was fake. Like
Well,
somebody put it there.
No, that was
that
actually
real?
in the
Was
trailer.
that
It was
in the
actually in the
okay.
trailer. It was gotten everybody laughing about it though, is that it wasn't a movie version of the Spidey suit. It was the PS4 Spider-Man game version of his suit
Okay.
that they used. So people had been like, commenting on that. But I think that they may reference. I mean, just having Michael Keaton in the film lets you know that they plan to at least bring Spider-Man or the universe together. I hope they do, because I mean, at this point, I think they got the perfect character to play Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like I really like the guy they got now. So if they can build a universe around him and his villains, I think it'd be dope.
And he young enough to
Shout
carry
out to
it for
Andrew
some
Garfield.
Right.
I like that. That's
Oh,
Tom
God.
Holland.
Tom Holland.
Andrew Garfield. Like
I like
people
Andrew.
actually
I like
did
Andrew
good
too.
too, though.
Yeah.
He
I
just was
like-
in bad movies.
Yeah.
I don't think the movies wasn't bad.
I never
Yeah.
disliked.
The second one was bad though.
No,
I
it
did not
wasn't.
like the second one.
Bro, the second one was.
I didn't like
see,
it.
but the second one had too many components to it, and that was the same thing Spider-Man 3 with Toby suffered from. There's too many
Spider-Man 3
storylines
was
that they
trash.
couldn't close out strong. And the second Amazing Spider-Man was the same thing. Too many storylines that you can't close out strong, man. Doc Ock for Spider-Man 2, one of the better
One of the
ones.
best. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's probably
It
the best
had a
Spider-Man.
singular kind of focus with maybe one subplot. The rest of these shows, they be trying to start these
too much.
multi. Yeah, it's too much, man.
Yep. All right. Let's
So not to interrupt too much, I just want to say I've watched quite a few movies while stoned, and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 sequence where Spider-Man is chasing Electro through that electricity field.
shit
in
was
3D.
cool.
It's
Dope as
still
hell.
one of the dopest things I've ever seen.
dope
in
as
3D.
hell.
Yeah.
I agree. That was a dope ass thing.
The action
I
sequence.
like Spider. I like the Amazing Spider-Man.
I just
too.
didn't like I didn't like Jamie Foxx's performance.
No, he was
I gotta
terrible.
say,
He was
it was kind of
terrible.
I just
wasn't
didn't like
terrible.
it. I didn't like it.
He was written terribly. Let's put
Okay,
it
put
that
it that
I
way.
don't
But
think
Jamie
he
Foxx
would've been
was terrible.
Okay, his performance, it was not the best for me.
Couldn't do much with that garbage.
All right, so let's switch gears. We've talked enough about movies. Let's transition it into TV shows. This Sunday we finally get to see who killed Ghost. Don't worry if you're listening to this. We aren't going to spoil it because I don't think anyone in the room has watched the episode yet. But
Bootleg.
since we're going to talk about it and it will be revealed today, I got to ask the question, who do you all think killed Ghost? I'm just going to give my prediction real quick. I think it was Maggie Simpson. I think shout outs to Maggie. If she got Mr. Burns all them years ago, she may still be blood hungry. but I don't know. I don't have really a dog in the fight. Who do y'all think might end up being the person at this point?
I think his son, because only two left, right?
Yeah.
Tasha and what's the son name again?
Tariq. Yeah.
I think he would be too obvious to me.
Yeah.
And
Do y'all think he dead?
I would hope like all these arguments they've been showing between them that at the end of the day his son still looked out for him and like was in on the plan where Ghost was still alive. That would be cool because all this lead up, oh man, Ghost died, who killed him? And if they throw a curveball, I'll respect that more than it's down to Tariq and
they
Tasha.
actually just do it.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, now what?
Yeah. That's real.
Like, what if both of them was in on helping them, like, get away and disappear like a ghost for real?
But
that
then-
would be cool.
Yeah. So you don't think he's dead? You think he just got shot?
I think Ghost is advertised as being super smart and clever. And I think him getting that arrogant and turning off that many people, it was almost like he built up
Yeah.
the suspects. Like all that obvious arrogant stuff
Yeah.
that he started to do those last two episodes. Like the way he talked to Lorenz Tate, like he should that
That was out of character. of him,
Out of
though.
character.
Yeah.
Out of character.
But and that's the thing about power. Like I don't know if like we trying to give them. I don't know if we're giving them too much credit, or are they really that smart to like do those type of things? Because like that episode when he was shooting everybody, that was out of character of him. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then somebody like killed him or shot him. Like, if he's dead, I'm pissed off because I don't like how they handled his death. Like, it's too much mystery around it. There's too many episodes. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, like, for me, you don't kill the main character and still have all these questions around his death for 6 more episodes. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't feel like I can grieve his death because it's been who killed him,
Right,
who killed him, who killed him. So then if we find out tonight, like, yo, this motherfucker really dead? How the fuck am I gonna take this shit? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But like, I don't like. I think that Tariq shot him, and I think Tasha probably took the rep. Now it's too obvious. I think, like Sale said, the obvious choice is Tariq. But like, damn it, I hope they throw a curveball. Yeah. I hope it's like not one of those two, and I hope that he's not dead.
I've thought about that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I agree 100%.
So if I'm like wrong about this, I'm gonna probably have Power even lower because Power had such a strong start.
Absolutely.
Like the first 3-4 seasons, it was like, yo, this shit dope. Yep. But like these last 2 seasons, like I feel like they've been dropping the ball on a bunch of shit.
I agree.
I just hope he not dead because they didn't even. It's like the next day they was handing out his will and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what
but even the people he turned off, he gave stuff.
He gave
to.
them something.
Yeah.
He gave Tommy that car. He gave money to everybody. Like, so it was like
come on.
Like, damn.
Did he give Lorenz Tate anything?
I don't think
but
so.
for all we know, he was behind. Like it's just a lot of stuff to it. Like how Lorenz Tate came up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
he was bogus as hell too, though. Like that motherfucker.
Lorenz a savage.
Yo, how he did old girl, and how he did what's Ghost girlfriend name Ramona. He fucked her.
Now,
he fucked her career up.
Absolutely.
Like, that shit was bogus as hell.
Now, when you was talking about curveball, that might be the curveball for me. If it's anybody, it'd be Ramona, because we really don't know a lot about her other than she had a troubled marriage. She kind of came in out of nowhere this season, and like,
why was she like?
That's the $1 million question. If there's going to be a curveball, I'm just saying it might be her, because like she's the only person whose backstory we really don't know much about. She just kind of came in. You knew she was in a troubled marriage, and now she's messing around with Ghost or catching feelings. I wouldn't say messing around with him yet.
The only way they reveal is dope unless they connect her like from season 1 on. Like, how is she associated with like all these characters? If they just bring out the blue, I'm gonna be pissed off.
That's
like, give me a character with some meat on it that did it, or don't give me no damn
facts.
Ramona.
I just go ahead, Lindsay, because I was gonna say something.
I watched Ghost very little. I assumed that he was shot by the ghost of Stonewall Jackson.
All right, we gonna say
what I believe.
I mean, with the curveball, is like, I just hope like they just. It's like when you watch one of these shows, like you just hope that it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just hope it ain't too predictable.
Yeah.
I hope my prediction is wrong. I hope like this was like a plan and he's like escaping, you know what I'm saying, or going somewhere. But like that'll be cliche because he's worked too hard. He's worked so hard to get up to this point to be like lieutenant governor. That's like that's dope. Like corner boy to lieutenant governor, and then you die is like, all right, okay, I can get the death part, but like, why would he be alive and then get ghost? You know what I'm saying? When he's been trying to like get out the life so much. You know what I'm saying? So if he's dead, I just wish it was handled a little differently. But if he's alive, and what if like maybe like somebody shot him, then they set somebody else up to take the fall, and then he's like going to be alive. Like maybe it's gonna be like a different news story, like breaking news. You know, James St. Patrick is not dead. He's actually like in a hospital in critical condition or some shit. But like. I don't know.
But then what happened to all that money he gave out?
Yeah,
I don't know.
So it's like, I don't know, man. Like,
we'll see.
When did he have time to like give Tommy that car? You know what I'm saying? Like, when did he have time to like go set up these wheels like Paz?
Yeah, that's
like
real.
he put her in the wheel like in this. Like Angela died like a couple weeks ago.
That's
you know what I'm saying? So like, when did he like do this? You know what I mean?
I didn't even think about that.
So it's like, is it calculated that he made these moves like Sale said because he pissed off all these people, or is it like fucked up writing? You know what I mean? So it's like
We gonna find out tonight.
yeah, man. I just hope it's done right, and I hope
Yeah.
I'm not pissed off at this ending.
No doubt.
Because they definitely had a moment, and then like Power 2.
Yeah.
Like, what's that gonna be about? You know what I mean? If it's about Tariq like being a drug lord, I don't want to see that shit.
Neither do
I'm
I.
not interested in seeing the kid.
Yeah.
He ain't Franklin.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, Franklin.
So he ain't him. You know what
let's
I mean?
talk about
So-
Franklin, because that was gonna be our next topic, is looking at the year of 2019. Like, yo, I don't think in my life there has been another year more historic for television than 2019, yo.
There's a lot of dope
Like,
shows.
there was so many in 2019 that like we were gonna talk today about like what would you consider the best show, but I don't even think I could do it. Like between Mandalorian, Snowfall, Watchmen, Game of Thrones,
The Boys.
Like,
But the Game of Thrones ain't in that conversation. I'm sorry.
I mean, media changed though. Like the way we consume and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had DC Online release, Disney on, like a lot of different stuff. Like I can't even keep up with all of it now.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, 2019, shoot, 2020 probably gonna be
Man.
another year where we like, damn, you get what I mean? But
hope so.
yeah. I would say like The Boys was half of me.
I
And-
didn't like The Boys.
You didn't like
I
The
love
Boys?
Well,
The Boys
I'll tell
is
y'all why,
dope.
but go ahead. Sorry, Sil. Go ahead.
Nah, I thoroughly enjoyed The Boys because I mean it was just like a different depiction on like the genre.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought it was clever, you know, unapologetic in the sense that heroes can be assholes too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
And they brought a human form to it. You know what I'm saying? Like you could still be a hero and have villain tendencies. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like every hero we read about, like for the most part, they obviously like heroic. They never
Yeah.
talk about like the struggles behind the scenes. And the head dude, the Superman type dude,
Right.
like his story was like
Fucked up.
Yeah, this shit was like mad sad. Like it
was.
made sense why he was the dude that he was.
Yeah.
Which was cool. So yeah, The Boys is half of me, and Game of Thrones ain't hitting it for me. Yeah, Snowfall, if we want to go outside of like geek dramas, was dope. Like I
Yeah.
watched that obsessively.
Absolutely. Facts. Franklin. Shout outs. I'll just say this. It's not that I didn't like The Boys. Let me clarify. I just didn't like how quick the season seemed to me. Like it didn't feel like a complete season to me when I watched it.
a
I wanted
cliffhanger.
more. That cliffhanger was dope. And I would expect that from a show on like a mid-season finale or something, but I didn't expect it to be like the end of that whole season. It just felt a little quick to me. Other shows, you know, you get some resolution by the end. In that show, I felt like there were a lot of doors open, and then it just ended with like that big cliffhanger. And so I just didn't feel like they planned an entire season. I think it was a little rushed.
That's
but
probably worried about not getting picked up. Or
yeah. But now look at it. It's one of Amazon Prime's top shows.
what you
So-
think, Lindsay? What you got?
Nothing on The Boys, honestly. I don't. I've only watched the first episode and saw someone get exploded at high speed.
That shit was cold.
It was. Yeah.
So
but your prediction for like 2019? I mean, not prediction, but what was your favorite or best shows of 2019?
That's a tough one. Snowfall is probably the best show that I started watching and finished within 2019. So that's going to get my number one vote.
Yeah.
Outside of that, The Mandalorian would be second. 2020, most excited about seeing season 2 of The Mandalorian. Seeing Snow come back into the fray. I'm trying to think. I feel like outside, is there something that hasn't correct? Because I haven't initially sure, but I've heard good things about that. The Outsider is picking up really, really fucking fast.
It is.
So there's
That's a great
there's
show.
a lot of original content. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff?
I would go the best show 2019. I would go Snowfall, Watchmen, The Mandalorian, The Boys. I didn't get a chance to watch what's my boy name?
Which one?
From The Office, Jim.
Oh man,
I didn't get a
Tom
chance.
Clancy, Jack Ryan.
I didn't get a chance to watch. I didn't get a chance to watch season 2 yet. I'm gonna watch that.
It's great.
It was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, season 1. I like season 1 a lot.
Season 1 was amazing.
Yeah.
I love season 1.
What I'm looking forward to, I would go with Ozark. The Ozark comes out in like a few months. Atlanta. I want to see The Boys again. Hopefully we get something on Game of Thrones, like a spinoff, because I hated the way Game of Thrones ended.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't know about Power 2. I don't know if that's gonna drop soon or when it's supposed to drop.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I love Ozark, so I can't wait to see what they gonna do with that.
Same. So my pick for the top show, like, because I agree with every show that you all said. One show that hasn't been named in this though that I think should be called out is The Witcher. I thought The Witcher was dope as hell. On Netflix, if y'all haven't seen it, Henry Cavill, who I thought I could not see as anything but Superman.
Yeah.
I think he did a great job in Witcher. But my top show of 2019, I gotta go with Watchmen. Like. To me,
Watchmen was dope.
To me, it took me by complete and utter surprise. Like, I had zero expectation of it. I had seen the movie, never read the graphic novel, didn't know if I would be able to even keep up with the show because I wasn't that familiar with the source material. But the first few episodes of it, I was confused as hell. I was like, yo, what is going on? But Angela Akbar, like her character.
Cold.
It was like every episode, I just wanted to see. She was probably the most badass female in a TV show I've ever watched. Like, she commanded the full attention of the folks watching. But to me, like, the scenery was just something I've never seen them do. They pushed the envelope on so many things. I cannot think of another show, movie, whatever, that you've seen a white man hung by a black man on national TV. like just that.
Spoiler.
Just that first episode, yeah, spoiler. but that was just them being brave enough to show scenes like that.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree
on
with
TV.
you. Yeah, Watchmen was dope, man. Bro. It was. I agree with you. It was dope. I got it at 2, but like, it was dope, and it's a lot of like small moments that make that if you miss it the first time,
absolutely.
Because when he asked her, like, you think I can lift 180 pounds?
Right.
And she was like, shit, I don't know. Probably not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then in the episode, he was sitting by the dude, like, which I guess I can lift 180 pound man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a lot of.
So much.
It was a lot of moments. I thought it ended perfectly.
Absolutely.
I don't need a season 2. I don't even want them to do a season 2 because it ended. It was Watchmen was dope.
It was from start to finish. It told a beautiful story. I was worried at first because it was made by the same folks from Lost, and I was, that show just has so many seasons. I was like, I don't think they're gonna be able to do it in just one. But to me, the way it started and ended was perfect. And I got to say one other thing about the first season. The way it started, like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, like for them seeing how the Black Wall Street in Tulsa was bombed.
Man. They made I'm gonna cut you off, but like it was a different spin on the Watchmen, and I appreciate it.
Yep,
they took a chance on that. A lot of people was upset about it.
Absolutely,
the way they were portraying things, but like. I thought it was dope.
But that shit happened. And that's the thing is like, you got white folks that were like mad boycotting the show. Like HBO announced like so many viewers stopped watching. But the thing is, that is a part of this nation's history. Yeah, it was exaggerated. Yeah, it's fantasy, whatever. But no, that's Tulsa, that like Black Wall Street, that shit actually happened.
To see that, how it was going down, if it made you feel like you was there. Because all we do is read the historical references. Right. You know what I'm saying? The stories about it, you hear about it. But to actually like see them like doing it, it was like, damn, man, this shit feel real, you know. And
what I didn't know until that show, I didn't know that historically it was accurate that the planes that they were using, like that shit
they was
happened.
Dropping bombs.
Like
for real.
That was the first time on U.S. soil we used our planes against our citizens, and like in Tulsa. Bombing them for like it was just to me it was visceral. It was like shocking, but it was a part of our history that has never been shown ever. And so to me, it was a powerful scene. And I hope people see it, but I hope more stories like it get told now that HBO was brave enough to put it out. Because I agree with you. I don't think it needs a second season, but I hope we get more content like that to push the envelope and talk about our history in a way like that.
HBO been dope, man. Like they got some dope ass shows.
I still gotta watch it. So
and I just spoiled all of
Damn, why you ain't say nothing, bro?
I was so passionate and shit. I was just like, I guess.
Well, no, we didn't really get like no spoilers.
Luckily, we didn't say nothing about the ending.
Yeah, because that shit was cold. The way
I would have knocked that damn mic over. I was listening. I was like, I'm like, how they about to?
You should have led with that.
But y'all ain't ain't noticed that Quab look like. Okay,
Hey, man, next time point a finger there or something.
Yeah, like yo, spoiler
it's
alert.
good perspective.
All
Yeah,
right.
hey, I'm surprised you ain't watched it yet
Me
because
too.
it's dope. It's dope.
All right.
That shit cold.
I'll finish it up sometime.
All right, let's switch gears real quick because we're running out of time. We want to cover a couple quick topics. Video games. Obviously, we just came off of a really, really good year in 2019. A good decade, actually, like for video games. I mean, I feel like the games that came out in this last decade were just so fundamental, like so lasting. Let me ask you all though. Like, I know what my tops are. What are your top games? Let's start with like just the decade in general, the last decade, 2010, 2020. Like, what was the game that you remember the most from that decade?
I go with more, recent bias. Like, I love Red Dead Redemption too.
Good choice.
But like over the decade, Grand Theft Auto.
Which one?
5.
Okay.
People still playing that today.
Yeah, they are.
Grand Theft Auto 5. God of War.
Good.
I like Shadow of Mordor. That shit was cold.
Don't we know it?
Yeah, that shit was cold.
It was a good game.
Both of them was good to me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Division a lot. There's so many. The Last of Us, was that this?
Ooh, that was gonna
Last
be
of Us
mine.
was cold.
Yeah.
Uncharted was cold.
Facts.
Spider-Man was dope.
Facts.
This was a great year for video games.
Absolutely.
Man. I can't even really like put number one. I know like for last year, like my game of the year, probably speaking too fast on it, but like I got Red Dead Redemption as my part 2 as my game of the year for last year. I know Alex, he going to listen to this and think God of War was it and start throwing out those damn awards and shit. Like,
Right.
Fuck your awards.
What? God of War was a dope game.
It was dope, but it wasn't.
to
It
me,
was
it
anticlimactic.
wasn't.
It was anticlimactic.
I just couldn't
It
get
didn't
over
finish
the.
strong.
I couldn't get over the boss in the game.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he
what I'm
was just
saying.
some
It was-
hipstery, like barista looking.
You be real mad about his presentation.
It was bad, man. Like
That
I
dude
just
be great.
Kratos went from fighting Zeus and like all
He was
these
supposed to. I guess he was
to
strong.
fighting
though.
some like dude who looked like he worked at Starbucks. Like it just to me, it didn't give me the satisfaction of beating him that I wanted.
Stop judging books by their cover, man.
All right, Liz or Sil, go ahead.
Yeah. So y'all know I'm gaming slacking for the past couple of years. However, we talking about the decade. Yep. So Last of Us will be a top for me. Just feeling like you connected to characters.
Yeah.
Like I think that game did it the best.
Okay.
The story was like heartfelt, lost your daughter, and then you get like a second chance at being like a father figure in the most epic way possible.
Yeah, them first couple. Oh, I'm going to cut you off,
Yeah.
Bo, but Metal Gear Solid 5 was dope as hell.
Facts. Metal Gear was really good. The Batman series
forgot about
was
Batman.
Absolutely.
amazing from top to back end of it. And Uncharted, like the last Uncharted, where that after the credits you get to play where it's like 10, 12, it's something like they got a kid and you get to play like the the dedication you had to the game just to see how that ended.
Right.
Yeah.
So like for me it's always like story driven games. The way the technology has evolved, it allows you to connect more versus Mario, you knocking over trying to kill the dragon and save the princess. Now it's like it's a lot more context with the game. So yeah, I think we ain't got the next decade gonna be even better because we probably gonna be wearing goggles out here like
VR.
out of breath.
Right.
I hope we do that though, because
trying to
Ready
go at
Player
it.
One is dope. Like I hope they create like a Ready Player One type of thing.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I feel the people
could
that
play
get
Breath of
addicted
the
to
Wild.
it. The virtual reality world.
Lindsay, he about to name like all underground games.
I mean, 10 years is a long period of time. Actually, what I would make my number one, I technically can't because it came out in 2009, like the tail end of it. But Demon Souls is probably what I spent the most time playing in the beginning of 2010. That was one of the best games I've played.
Okay.
I think after that, probably Nino, like you all are still criminally sleeping on. I don't.
Which game?
Else. Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch.
Okay.
Bro, that sounds
see
like
that right
a
there.
black exploitation.
Has anybody ever seen Spirited Away, or really any studio?
I seen
movie?
Spirited Away, bro.
Okay.
The anime. Yeah.
So this entire video game was animated and the music was scored by Studio Ghibli. It's fucking incredible. Cut off my alarm. Sorry. It's a fucking incredible game. The difficulty curve is like not that high. It's not the hardest RPG I've ever played, but like it's slept on in terms of this was a game where they had these creatures called familiars. It was very similar to Pokemon, but better in some ways. So instead of having like a tradition where you got a magician or something out front and you choose their attack while you're attacking a big boss, you fight with the familiars, and the humans are essentially the support characters. Ni no Kuni is up there. It just got re-released on PS4 and on the Switch remastered. Breath of the Wild put after that, and then Uncharted 4.
Uncharted was dope. Uncharted was dope. I think mine would be it'd be tough, but I gotta say it because I know y'all gonna have some controversy over it. But if I think about the game that I played the most, Destiny.
Destiny. Get the
fuck out of here. Say what y'all want. Say what y'all want. I knew y'all was gonna clap at me. I knew y'all was gonna clap at me. And look,
boo this shit, man.
I get it.
Podcast over. Podcast over. Let's end this shit.
Time to go.
Need some milk.
He needs some milk.
Look, man, I'll take your criticism, and here's the thing, I own it. I know Destiny, like, I mean, it regressed. I understand the criticisms, but if I'm being real, I spent hours in Destiny. 1 and 2, and all the expansions. I played the hell out of that game, and I gotta say, all the criticism of the game is warranted. There are definitely criticisms that are out there that is valid, but it was a fun game.
Just because I spent hours on Madden. I ain't naming that shit top 5. You know how many hours I built? You know how many hours it took me to build my own playbooks and shit?
That's
like,
real. That's
doing
real.
connected franchises.
Yeah, that's real.
I spent a bunch of hours that I ain't gonna never get
that's a fair
back.
point. Maybe I'll take it out the running for the best of the decade.
He's just mad. Like, I spent all them damn hours. That better be the best game. That's the best game I ever played.
But in terms of like games that shocked me, game of the last decade, Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Okay. I didn't play that. Yeah.
Best game I've played in a long time. One of the best RPGs I've played in life, like ever. It was an amazing RPG. Shout out to Nintendo. That was an amazing game for the Switch. And then one series that I think defined my last decade, with the exception of the last one, was Mass Effect. Like I love that series. I might be the only one, but I put a lot of hours in Mass Effect, and I love the RPG elements where you had an opportunity to change character stories based on your decisions. Like those type of elements were like prior to like Mass Effect and Dragon Age and games like those. RPGs always had a linear feel, like you could make decisions, but it pretty much had a central ending. Mass Effect was the first one where like you got characters with their own backstories, and the decisions that you made affected them and affected the way the game ended. And I thought that was really dope.
I mean, well, you're the reason why I don't like Mass Effect now. Because I never played Mass Effect, and then you was like, "Yo, get 3. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope," and I enjoyed it at first, and it was like, because I felt like I was like Frieza taking over planets and shit, but then it was like it got repetitive and it got boring.
Yeah.
So like I'll be skeptical about another one. Man.
It
Thanks
didn't
for
end
like,
well. I'm sorry.
Thanks for like recommending it.
Look.
And then like.
I didn't know it was gonna end on that note.
The hype was real.
I didn't know it would end like that. I mean, they didn't come with it. The last one of the series is probably the worst. But like, if you had been there during 1 and 2, like you'd understand why we were so hyped when 3 came out.
Okay.
But I'll take ownership of that. All right. So, but speaking of Vegeta and taking over planets. A few of us on the podcast have this game. It just came out. I want to give a spoiler-free review of it for now. Which is...
Ain't it the same story, though? Like,
Motherfuckers, if you ain't seen all of Dragon Ball Z by now, it's just gonna be spoiled. Sorry.
I'm looking at him like... Spoilers.
Good point.
He needs some milk.
Mike, you been fucking up the whole
I'll take that one.
Mike, say less.
Say less. it was a shock because we've always wanted a Dragon Ball Z RPG. Like in the States we had the fighting games, but we haven't had an RPG. They had one that was for like Super Nintendo, but we were playing that way back in the day on emulators. So I was excited for the RPG. I think so far I would give the game. I haven't beat it yet, but if I had to give it a score right now, I would give it a 7.5.
Damn.
Because I feel like it's a dope ass fighting game. I think it brings you back into those moments fighting Frieza, fighting Cell. Like when it gets to the action, like you feel like you're back in it. Like and it's dope the way they build it up. So like you having these fights back to back, you get a chance to play with the different characters. So like you playing as like in the beginning like the Z team, Tien and Yamcha. Later on you playing with Trunks and all them. So like you get a feel for the different characters. They feel authentic in the fights. Like they all have their own unique moves and everything. But the thing that I don't like about the game, my one criticism, the damn side missions. Like the side missions they're super repetitive. It's like go fetch this ingredient that I need, or fight these repetitive monster robot things that are just there throughout the game to keep you busy. And I think they could have put some more thought into the side missions. There is one hilarious side mission, by the way, I won't spoil, with Yamcha. So if you have the game, fucking Yamcha. Yamcha has a very hilarious side mission that I think you'll enjoy. But other than that, the side missions are hella repetitive. Jeff, I know you got the game. Lindsay, what do you all think?
I've only had a chance to play it for a couple hours. I like it a lot. I don't know if I go 7.5. Probably an 8.5. I don't like I hate the only thing I don't like about it is when you like flying through the air, then these damn robots come out of nowhere and you gotta fight them and shit.
Facts.
That's the only thing that could be annoying about it. Other than that, I think it's dope. I like the RPG element of it. The fight scenes are dope. You don't feel too overpowered. And I love Dragon Ball Z. I just hope they add Dragon Ball Super to it, where you get like Beerus. I want to see. Right. I want to see. The Power of Tournament in it. I just want to
leave GT out.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with GT. I don't have a problem with GT that much. But
Dragon Ball good and terrible.
Disrespectful, man. Yeah. Disrespectful.
Lindsay,
here we go.
Lindsay, what you think?
Well, first off, let me start by saying that Dragon Ball GT only got good when the Dark Star Dragon Balls popped into the story. That is the only good part of the series, which is like the very end of it. Outside of that,
that's debatable.
Kakarot so far has been pretty great. I'd give it also probably around an 8 or an 8.5. Most of my point deductions are coming from like just repeated loading screens. Every time you got to go through another area or something like that. There was this like a side mission where her character did not get to the point where she was supposed to give me like the second step of the side mission until I left the area I was in, which triggered a loading screen. Then came back, which triggered another loading screen. Then she gave me the second part of the side quest, which was like 5 islands away. So that's another loading screen to get there. It's just too much.
It was a lot of loading screens.
Remind me of that one so I won't have to do that.
You're going to do it because you're going to want to complete the side mission. But I know exactly which side mission he talking about with Bulma. And it's true. Like I sat there for the longest time like, what the hell am I supposed to be doing? And it didn't occur to me you got to leave the capsule corp and come back for her to give you the next part.
So this is not a cash grab game?
No, I don't think
so. It's not. I didn't. At first, I thought it was because I'm like, well, are they gonna? Because they've had fighting games like Z Fighter where they've had like a story mode, and I was like, is this just gonna be a glorified fighter and it's just gonna like have a story mode element to it? But no, it's actually an RPG. Like you can actually go along and play with different characters and build them up. Go ahead, Lance.
And not only that, I think one of the aspects I like about it the most is that it has these kind of sections that are slice of life sections. And even though the side missions can get repetitive, it is kind of like cool that they give you that kind of insight into the story of like, okay, Gohan has to argue with Chi-Chi, or Chi-Chi's nervous about something, so she's sending Gohan out to get like ingredients for dinner.
Yeah, I agree.
Those parts I thought were cool. I wish that you could change the control scheme. That's the part that I kind of have a problem with. Yeah,
that fighting system took a minute.
The flight controls should not be. You shouldn't control up and down from basically R1 and R2. It should be that I could map to the second control stick, and it would be way more fluid than.
Yeah.
But there's no control remapping. So
I
it's not
agree.
a major
Okay.
complaint.
But nah, Sel, you definitely should check it out. It will definitely pull you back in, and the tense moments, like you'll feel like it'll all come back to you. Feel like you've seen it for the first time again.
I mean, I ain't trying to start nothing, but Dragon Ball Z is like, it's good, but it's repetitive. So like hearing your review on it, like the repetitiveness of it, I'll just go watch the cartoons and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just watch the highlights on YouTube. You know what I mean? Now if it was Naruto, we talking about something different.
Here we
because
go.
Man,
it's, layers to it. But
Don't start
I love
that debate.
Naruto. I mean, do we want to start that right now?
No.
We can pick that up next.
bro. Next episode.
That's definitely
We
a
can-
topic
we-
to have.
Yeah,
Next
we can talk
episode.
about that.
All right, let's end it off with that. We I think we covered all of our major topics for the day. We appreciate you all for listening.
Yes, sir.
If you stuck through and listened to this whole episode, we appreciate you even more. Please continue to listen. We'll have these episodes coming out as soon as possible, and we just want to make sure that we always show love to the brothers who showed up. Thank you to my co-hosts, Jeff, Lindsay. Thank you for friends of the show, Sally Sale. To my man Landers, had to leave a little early if you caught that.
Yes, sir.
To our guy in the room, Jeremy, you can't hear him, but he's out here filming us. So if you see the video from the shoot today,
sure.
shout out to our brother Jeremy for helping us out with that. And you'll hear from him soon, our boy Alex, a.k.a. Tobias Black. If you love the song in the intro, that is Tobias Black. We'll drop a link so that you all can go and check out the music video. Spoiler alert, we're all in it, except Lindsay. So you'll see us in the video.
Famous
Yeah,
out
yeah.
here.
But thanks again for listening. Thank you to all of our wives for loaning us out today. We
Bro,
appreciate it.
You don't have to do that.
I got to.
You good, bro?
Yeah, man.
hey. No, I wanted to show some love. Anyway, thank you to our listeners. Thank y'all for being in the room with us, and we'll talk to y'all next time.